Hello, everybody, and welcome to segment 2 of the December 10th Trips and Traps. Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
We got 3 more races to bring you in this segment. All 2-year-olds, some spectacular performances in this segment, I think, to say the least. Maiden special weight in 2 of the state-bred stakes. We'll start off with a special weight from the 5th. This was Saturday. First-time starter Fleet Alex, very impressive here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Fleet Express was quite the goods, and we don't have anything special to say about it, but we'll show you the trouble if Fleet Express happens. We just thought this was an interesting and terrific effort by a horse, and also a good storyline to talk about. And you see to see a good 2-year-old as this debuting on the inner, showing people that we actually do have some pretty good horses right in the inner. Not just Flashing, who spent her whole winning on the inner last year for in the Grade 2s, but a Fleet Express off the screen after being eliminated at the start.
Yeah, especially I think this time of year, December, the 2-year-olds are still nowadays it seems like trainers are just giving them more and more time. So I think you get even a better chance now to see a 2-year-old that might go on and do something special as a 3-year-old these times on the inner track. And we see a fair pace up front here. Definitely a lot going on the front end here, and we don't see the winner at all yet.
Yeah, I thought the Man in Glass, the horse making the 3-wide move, ran pretty well in here too, because he really attacks here, and ultimately the race comes apart at the end. The Man in Glass may have gotten ultimately an over-aggressive a ride. It's easy to criticize this point. Of course, the winner of Fleet Express has gotten in the picture here, and he will win, and he will win sort of within himself after being a little green in the stretch. It's an interesting storyline. The horse in front of him is Powwow, who's the heavy favorite in this race. Powwow had been trained by Jimmy Jerkins when he made his debut up in Saratoga. He had been taken away from Jimmy Jerkins. He came back as heavy favorite in here. Jimmy had the first-time starter. He beat him. Tell me there isn't some action going on at the racetrack.
Yeah, lots of action always at the racetrack, and I'm sure Jimmy was smiling very strongly, ear-to-ear grin when he won this race here. And here's a look at the head-on with the Fleet Express here, and we'll see exactly what goes wrong at the start. Kind of flat-footed beginning, gets squeezed there, and loses about 5 or 6 lengths.
Yeah, either this horse is a mud freak, or he's a very serious racehorse, and we'll find out. We think he's pretty good, and looking forward to him. He's not going to pay any money next time. Probably bet against him next time. Just think he's a really good-looking horse and a good race to show.
A lot of talent for sure with the Fleet Express. We'll take a look at the Damon Runyon Stakes now from Sunday, the first of 2 New York-bred stakes races from Sunday's card. And a couple of interesting things going on here. One of the favorites, Ivy Boye, does stumble a little bit there at the start. We're also going to take a look at the 7 Shrimp Dancer here. But I think it's kind of key to note where Ivy Boye is throughout the race, because it gets shuffled back a little bit, and you might say doesn't have a great trip, but when you keep in context of what goes on in the race, he does have a very good trip in here.
He got a perfect trip, and I think this is the kind of ride that Ramon Dominguez gives, and it's one of the reasons sometimes people don't give him the credit he deserves. It's a very logical horse that got a very good trip, but you have to ask yourself, how much did Ramon have to do with his perfect trip? And I think a lot. I believe that Ramon was very confident in this horse. You see where Shrimp Dancer ends up. He's in no man's land the whole race. Now, part of it, the problem is he has a little bit of speed. Everybody left a little bit here. He had an outside post, but the truth is, by stumbling a little bit, Ivy Boye extracted himself from that, and Ramon sits the garden spot. The other thing I thought was interesting is, as the field starts to move ahead in the turn, and one of the speeds drifts back a little bit in Ramon's face, Ramon just stayed cool. He didn't worry that others were making premature moves. He's ahead of Shrimp Dancer now, and in a split second he'll be well behind him.
Yeah, I think this was one of the things I didn't like about the ride here on Shrimp Dancer. I thought he would have been better off served sitting outside of Ivy Boye and the 6-horse there as well, who was a known gambler, instead of going up and making this 4-wide move around the turn. I thought he'd have been better off just being a little bit more patient sitting back there. And we see the speed horse come back, and Ramon is not panicking here. He's going to take a little bit of a hold, but still realizing that there's a quick pace going on up front. He's happy with this position.
No question about it. He senses the pace. He knows there's 3/8 of a mile left. He's not even in a hurry here. It's not like he felt compelled to rush up 3 wide after this, and he's got himself a good 5 lengths behind the leader. He splits horses. He does everything right here. Yes, it helps to ride a lot of good horses, and horses make riders, trainers, and bettors look smart. But the reality is this is why Ramon has been a dominating rider here throughout the entire year. It's because of rides like this. And I don't think that Ivy Boye, maybe he is the best horse in here, but I'm not sure he is. The second-place finisher ran extremely well, and I was impressed with Shrimp Dancer's effort, primarily a turf horse. He's okay.
Yeah, I was impressed, too. I didn't think that much of him going back to the dirt, especially considering that, like you said, he is a turf horse, but considering the trouble he had in the race, being wide around the turns, making a little bit of a premature move around the second turn, I think Shrimp Dancer, you might be able to hear some things from him through the winter.
I agree. I'd love to see these horses meet and know they were all going to get exactly the same trip. Now, you don't know that's the case, because Shrimp Dancer, who will be a much bigger price than them, and he was only 5-1 in this race, he'd be bigger next time. He could beat them.
All right, let's take a look at the girls now in the Eastview, and I think, kind of in line with the Fleet Express's performances, the performance we'll see here from the 10 Opus A. Also want to take a look at Myrtle's Gray and Spirit of Rose, who end up being wide and on the pace in this race, and I think they were a little bit against it as well. But Opus A, the story of the race from start to finish here.
No question about it. First of all, this was a race with a ton of stretch-out speed from the start, and they didn't disappoint. This was one where they all went here. And what's interesting is an Opus A was the story and is the story. Because first of all, not only, and there you have the two horses, the eventual second-place finisher was the 6 Spirit of Rose, and the 7 Myrtle's Gray finished third. Opus A looks like she's going to be pulled up about 3 or 4 times during the race, and she's never far off the very quick pace.
Yeah, right up here you'll see Opus A go about 5-6 wide into the turn here, and you also see the other two horses we're looking at, Myrtle's Gray and Spirit of Rose, end up 4 and 5 wide around the turn, and Opus A just continues to get out around the turn, and maybe this is just a horse that the tight turns in the inner track are just a little bit too difficult for her at this point.
Maybe it's something about, I think, does she have blinkers here? It was the first time she was wearing blinkers. Maybe she wasn't happy with them. I don't know what the case is, and this race was run a lot slower than the one we just showed, about 1 minute and 3/5 or something slower than that one, and these are the fillies as opposed to the Colts and Geldings. But Opus A, she ran about just many yards more than anybody else. I don't want to exaggerate too much, but come on.
Let's see what her sheet number is for this race. I mean, just the ground loss on the turns here is going to be incredible. And, right now, Opus A is in the 5 path probably, and she's just going to get out even more and, start to lose ground, not even be able to keep up with the pack in here. I mean, at this point, you think she's out of the race.
Yeah, she absolutely, I assume she was being eased at this point. There's no doubt about it. And now, of course, you've got that 6-horse, Spirit of Rose is actually moving towards the lead here. Myrtle's Gray never really gave up as badly as the others, but don't forget, she lost by 12 lengths finishing third. I thought Spirit of Rose ran okay, but come on. The winner of this race, I don't know. I don't know how you measure it in lengths, but she won the race by about 4.5 lengths. She certainly was 10 the best, if not more than that.
Yeah, very impressive effort. You see, once she straightens away through the stretch here, everything's A-okay, and, just straight as a string here coming down the lane, and, the turn's really the problem here for Opus A, but very impressive effort, and you got to think this filly has a good future as long as she gets over some immaturity issues.
No question about it. She's not just a good New York bred, she's a good filly, however you want to look at it. And of course, it is the year of the fillies, so we're happy to close out our year by showing a very impressive performance by a filly. And anyway, we appreciate everybody watching, the support throughout the year. Once again, that email address is tripsandtraps@NYRAinc.com. We love to hear your thoughts, any ideas you have for the show, questions you have about horses, disagreements, whatever you have. We appreciate it.
And happy holidays, everyone.